Getting ready to start, folks. Wanted to do a really quick audio test. Make sure I can hear myself, and I'll be right with you. Can you all hear me? Last quick testaroo. Can you hear Dan? Dan, say hello.
Hello, I only see myself in Hangouts. I don't see anybody else.
Oops. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wine Wednesday. I think that I actually have the audio fixed. I have been working all week long on getting the Discord to work. Oh, God, help me. I hear an echo. That's right. Anyways, I'm going to ignore it because I think it's working for you guys, and that's what matters. Anyhow, I've been working with Discord all week. I've been getting help from different people. We are like almost there to really fixing this up and making it really smooth. But I didn't want to throw it out there and have it not work. So anyways, Lucy, I did send you a link if you want to join. If not, hang out in the comments. Dan is here with me tonight, but it's spur of the moment, and we're just chilling. It's Wine Wednesday as always, so grab your glass. Let's chat about whatever you want to chat about. Hi to the Salty Reef, Annette. Hey guys, really quick, I wanted to tell you, I actually finally got everything sent out. I forgot to, of course, send you tracking numbers, but I want to see posts when you receive your prizes, please. So you will be getting those in a few days. So good times with that. Dan, what's up with you? How you doing? What's going on?
Same old stuff. Going to release, we'll put up some more pictures of some piebalds tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I've got some new ones to add to the mix, as well as some that I have not yet sold. They flew out the window as fast as I could put them up before, but a lot of people have now, so they're not going out as quickly. But I got quite a few to put up again.
So in other words, hint, hint, there might be CUDA or something like that?
No, it's just the piebalds are what's going up tomorrow. I'm still working with the kudas. I'm behind schedule on because of the red tides.
Right. And
I'm not going out collecting plankton while there's still red tide.
right. And so what you mean by being behind schedule with that is that you're not putting all your eggs into breeding those because you're not able to collect the feeds that you want to produce excellent and terrific fry. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
I have a question though. Do they breed anyways, or do you have a way to stop them from breeding when you aren't ready for them to breed?
There is a way to stop them from breeding, and that's to separate them, but I have not done that.
Okay.
I've tried to go with some newly hatched Artemia, but the success rates with that is not sustainable for me long term trying to raise them that way. I have to go with something where I get higher numbers.
Sure. Makes sense. Okay, well, go ahead.
Red tide is unusual in this area. It's only about once every 10 years that we see it. So, it's a temporary event that will just get past.
Have you noticed that they're occurring, these temporary red tide events? Are they occurring more frequently or just the same as
Now,
always?
I think it's the same as always. They get more publicity during election time, and we also have water issues with the lake in the middle of the state, Lake Okeechobee, that dumps some blue algae that it does some nasty stuff. It's toxic, but it's not related to red tide's been around forever. In fact, the Spaniards called it the Crimson Tide way back in the 1600s or 1500s. So it's always been around. It's naturally occurring. We don't normally get it in this area, but the predominant winds blew it in off the Gulf Stream, and
Jeez.
it will clear up. It had moved on out, but we had a cold front come through with a northerly breeze that pushed it back down south. So another couple of weeks, it should be cleared out of here.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that. And actually, we make sure to never bring politics or religion into this stream. However, I'm going to say, I've actually wondered if maybe the whole turning the water red, turning the sea red, Moses kind of things. And I am a Christian, so I'm not knocking anybody, but I just wonder if maybe algae and these kind of things played a part in those stories also. Because I'm sure they didn't, but, it's curious that people come up with excuses for different situations as they have to. So, anyhow, that was way off left field, I know, but it just
That
crossed my mind. Go ahead.
makes you wonder.
Yeah. Okay, well, actually, I have one more question for you. And anyone watching this can tell me this is a free-for-all. If you guys want to talk about your anemone or your seahorses or your, day, feel free to join. We're just kind of, hanging out literally until next week when I can get the Discord going. So we'll just chit-chat and keep it going. But I have had the worst week in the world, and I won't sit here and rant about it. However, I will tell you that my daughter came home tonight and said, Mom, I have a science project that I really need your help on. And she needed to know about the, oh my gosh, I can't even think of the word now. It's not the, oh God. Hey, Tanya. She's not going to hear me. I'm not going to scream for her. I want to say life web, but that's not it. Food web. The food web in an aquatic system. And so I was like, yes, I can do this, because they bring home math homework and they bring home all this stuff that I can't hang with. But she said, I need the food web for an aquatic system. And I'm like, oh yes, I got this. Let me show you how to do it. And I literally spent all this time putting it together. And then she said, oh no, Mom, it's freshwater. It's got to be for Indian. I was like, oh my God. And so the point I'm coming to is I'm curious if anyone can tell me herbivores, however you want to say it, in a freshwater system in the food web. Anybody have any idea? Dan? Help.
I'm sorry, I was just typing away here. What was the question?
You weren't listening to me because I was rambling. It's okay. If I asked you to make a food web for a freshwater, like lake situation, what would the herbivores be?
Well, the same type of food web occurs in freshwater as it does in saltwater. It's just different creatures.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is what creatures? Yeah, I mean, and this is a completely random question. Anybody in the audience who sees this, please help me answer this. The whole point, Dan, was that my daughter has this science project. I got so excited because I know food webs in a reef system, but not in freshwater. I don't know the animals in it. So it totally threw me off, and I just
Well,
wondered if you knew.
you you're going to have different species of algae and different species of plankton and um, different types of, but the same type of creatures exist to a large degree. I
That
mean,
I
there's
mean,
freshwater shrimp, there's freshwater, crayfish are a type of shrimp, and you have fish. And the one thing that you'll probably have in the freshwater that you don't see as much in the saltwater is the amphibians.
okay, right. That's I literally well. What I do want to say about this, and then I'll drop it because it was random, but I'm just hoping that anybody in the audience can help me because I'm like, I can't even help my daughter. But the thing is that when I was looking at these things, the most crazy part was it kind of proved the point that social media and Google and all of these different ways of searching for information have kind of gotten out of hand because we were searching for herbivores in a lake system, herbivores in our area, etc., in water, whatever. We searched 500 different ways. We'd get an answer. We'd go search again. Is this, particular species or animal, is it an actual herbivore? And it would be like, no, that's a carnivore. And I mean, I understand the difference, but there are some animals that and I know this is random, guys. I'm sorry. We'll get back to the piebalds in a second. But I was just, and Ken and Jill Martin said plecos. I thought that too. Here's the real clincher. It has to be specific. The project is that she has to do a filtration system for water in our area. And when she brought home this science project, I was like, yes, because I know all about how to use, carbon and floss and UV. I know that stuff. So I was helping her. But since it's freshwater, things kind of changed up a bit because they have to be specific to my area. It's like I'm ready to kill these teachers. I'm kidding, Google. I'm kidding, YouTube. I don't kill anybody. But I'm so frustrated because I can't. Really? But
aren't a lot of them omnivores?
Yes, exactly. And that was my other problem is, and I'm not going to go into a big rant about education today, but when she asked me for help, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, you need the primary and the, secondary, you need the actual, the food web. And she said, no, I just need to have 3 plants, 3 omnivores, 3 herbivores, and decomposers. And I'm like, you're missing so much stuff in there. Anyways, I know this was totally random. It drove me crazy because I felt really stupid because I should know this stuff for sure. And anyways, I'm getting some static. I hope it's on your end, not mine. But Dan, I didn't mean to get so distracted. Since you did so kindly join me, why don't you tell me a little bit more about the piebalds? I've seen a bunch of comments. I shared the post on the piebalds that are coming up for sale or for that you're featuring right now. And a lot of people are talking about the way that they change color.
Well, the color is not fixed in the piebalds any more than it is the other seahorses. What makes the piebalds kind of unique is that they lack color. So they have patches of area that are white where there's no coloration, and either that area will later on fill in or it won't. In many cases, it doesn't. We're not able to predict which ones will, which ones will not, so it's somewhat of a crapshoot in that regard. But the color parts that they have, that part can change. Quite often when I first post them, they're black and white because of the tank they come out of. But as they get bigger and I move them to a glass tank, some of those will change colors into the yellows and what have you, where they have coloration. And, I'm toying with the idea of trying to do what Tammy tried to do at one time, and that is, do I want to try to create, what I think she was calling them snow whites, where they're strictly a solid white.
Yes.
And I don't know if that can be bred into it or not. It's a long-term type project that I'll have to experiment with, but I'm contemplating that. I don't know if they will sell well or not, but they're really pretty when they're solid white.
Well, and the I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually am very familiar with her Snow Whites, and they were amazing. But some of them were black with just a lot of the piebald, all over them. At the time, I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but the thing is, even if I guess my question, actually, I have two questions. First, to the audience. I'm getting a little bit of static. I just want to know if it's my headphones or if you're hearing it. And second of all, Dan, even if you spent the time and took the energy to actually try to breed specific genes into your seahorses, say, to create the Snow Whites, it would still be completely random whether those patterns, colors, etc. stayed, right?
Well, I don't know. First of all, you're clear on this end, but
Okay, good.
secondly, if I was trying to breed a color, I would argue that it's not going to be very feasible because that's part of their makeup is to change color. What I'm talking about is trying to breed them so there is no color.
Right.
In other words, eliminate color completely. So if the chromatophores, if I'm saying it correctly, are not there producing any color, then they would just stay white.
I wish I had animation. I would put a light bulb above my head. Something just made perfect sense to me. I get it now. So the gene in the piebalds is that it is the the chromat. I get it now. So you can go on, and I did not mean to interrupt, but why does that change over time?
Well, it's just a question of whether or not that's a breedable trait or not. I don't know that it is.
Okay.
I obviously have a couple of seahorses that produce piebalds, and I'm running an experiment where I made it a piebald to a piebald to see what's going to happen.
Ooh.
But I don't know yet. It's not an area that a lot of people have a lot of experience with, and unfortunately, to come up with what I'm talking about is not something you do spur of the moment. It's going to take, multiple generations to achieve the goal.
Right. I know Victoria Crow is also breeding her piebalds, and I think I hope I'm not wrong. Jill, aren't you breeding piebalds also? I could be wrong. Anyhow, it's very awesome that you guys are all doing so. And I do kind of understand a little bit better how the piebald gene works. But then when we got to talking, I got confused again. It's easy to do. But if the gene is basically making no color, making the chromatophores and all those fun words that I studied so hard and now forget half of them, if the basic idea is that they have a gene, or if their chromatophores don't make colors, then I don't understand why that changes later. I understand what you were saying about bringing it into a species, but the piebalds today do all of a sudden start making color. How does that happen?
Don't know. You're correct. Some of them, it's almost like something that it's interesting because when the piebalds are first born, the first couple of months they're all dark, like most fry. They're just kind of a dark color, and then you'll slowly start seeing some of the seahorses change, and then you'll start seeing the piebald pattern, and then it's almost like the piebald portion of them grows. And then later on, some of the seahorses will actually, after they develop the piebald pattern, they will come back and fill that back in with color. And I've also had reports of seahorses that have been piebalds that filled back into where they looked like a normal seahorse, and they went back to being a piebald. So I don't know, long term what the results are until I experiment.
Sure, I understand. And I don't mean to throw questions at you that you already said you're experimenting with. I apologize.
No, that's all right.
The two piebalds that I own from Seahorse Source that are in the video I just released about how to feed stubborn or new seahorses. Wink, wink. Go check that out. The two of them they have completely kept they have completely kept their patterns. Their patterns have not changed at all. One is like a freaking rainbow, and it goes from the piebald coloration, that's just like, a lot of silvery white and then a little bit of grayish black, to yellow, to all sorts of colors. But the pattern stays the same. The other one went to exactly what you just described. Went to looking like a full-fledged erectus seahorse. Like the regular erectus seahorse. And now it's turning back and getting all these in unique and interesting patterns. It's fascinating, and I love watching it. But I just wondered, well, I'll be curious to see what your experiments end up proving or disproving, because, others have done articles about certain genes being bred into seahorses, and I've never really thought that was probably possible. But I'd love to be wrong, because that would be so cool. I mean, Sam in Australia, she had some, I think it was subligatus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she had a red that stayed red his entire life. Beautiful looking seahorse. And I would love to, be able to get a pair of those and breed them and have forever red seahorses. I just don't know that that's likely. So, anyhow.
I don't know. It would be cool if you could breed some of these traits, but I don't know that it is. It also presents a headache for me, because sometimes these guys will develop piebald patterns later on. And if I ship out a seahorse that I'm thinking is a regular seahorse, and it develops a piebald pattern, then people are freaking out thinking they have a bacterial infection and treating. I actually had one that developed at the distributor that called me up and said it was a white spot. We had to go over it, and it turned out that it wasn't a bacterial. It was just a little bit of piebald pattern coming through.
Hey, Dan.
Yep.
I know you are so busy, it's not even funny. Did you happen to have a chance to watch my video?
I got through about a third of it, and YouTube froze up, and I couldn't play anything on YouTube. So I'm a third of the way through. It looked real nice up to the point where it stopped.
Okay. Well, one thing is, I think that the freezing is happening when you move. So could you just hold still and not move or breathe? I'm just kidding. But the second thing is, you'll like the ending, or you won't like the ending. For the public record, you will not like the ending, but you should very much watch the ending. And go on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
That's all right. What's wrong with the ending?
No, nothing's wrong with the ending. I just kind of go onto the point, that you were basically making. I don't want to go further than that. I just kind of talk about the fact that calling the breeder is always the best way to handle something, because they'll know things that other people don't know. That's all.
Well, I don't care if people call me.
Right. No, and I'm seeing in the comments that people are asking how to call you, and I do try to post the website link, and now you've put your phone number out there.
Well, it's on the website. It's on Facebook. I mean, it's not something I try to hide. I don't put my cell phone out there all the time, but I get 5, 6, 7, whatever you want to call them, spam calls a day that I just have to deal with. I mean, it's just the way that it is.
Right. Now everybody's posting their phone numbers, so hey, we're gonna have a joint thing going on. Hey. And that's fine. I mean, I do too. No big deal. Anyways, I got off track. So back to the seahorses that are going up tomorrow. You said that you had a lot of already spoken for.
Well, not what's going up tomorrow. The ones that are going up tomorrow are all going to be available. I haven't figured out the count yet, but it's about 20, 25 of them I'll put up tomorrow.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. And are you starting to post where people can buy them based on the specifics? Or I know we've talked in private often about how that's really difficult to make happen.
Right. What I would like to do is put them up on my website on a single page with each one numbered, and people could order each individual number.
Mm-hmm.
And the website will allow me to create a SKU for each individual one and then mark it as sold, which is nice. The problem is the presentation of the pictures. It really doesn't allow me to do what I want to do, and I haven't figured out a workaround yet. So I'm still doing it on Facebook.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I'm kind of disappointed in the participation on Facebook lately. Jill, I want to mention Jill Martin. Thank you very much. And if you have makeup on or not, because we don't care about that, please feel free to come in and join and chat, because we'd love to chat with you tonight. Anyone else also, I'll post the link again. Feel free to join. But wow, I totally lost where I was going. What in the world was I just saying?
I know you were talking about the disappointed in Facebook.
Oh, yes. I've been extremely disappointed in the responses on Facebook. Like, I'll ask a question, and it's the same people responding. And I do see, based on, looking at the analytics, that people do look at it. And most people even watch like my videos or read my articles all the way through, but nobody comments, and I don't get it. I just wondered why that's happening.
Now, I can't say what I do notice from the group is that the number of new members have slid off slightly. But I'm also, looking around, I'm seeing a lot of people that are starting to come into the hobby. I think there's a lot of new faces that are not active yet.
Ah. So you think it's just people... Oh, geez, what happened? Okay, hang on, guys. I was trying to post the link again, and I somehow went back into... Okay, I tried to join my own Hangouts. That's awesome. All right. Okay.
I suspect once we get through another 2 weeks from now, when the elections are over and politics are out of the way and life resumes back to normal again, I think we'll see a change in activity.
I'm so sorry. I had some static. I hope it's not in the end of the viewer, but can you repeat that, please?
I think after the election and all the crap that it stirred up, I think you'll see more activity. And we've also had a couple events that have gone on that have, between the hurricanes and whatnot, that have slowed down some of the activity. I think you'll see things pick up after we get through the election.
Gotcha. Do you think it depends on who wins?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Because I think on either side, somebody's going to commit hara-kiri. I don't know.
Right. Well, I just, without giving any indication of how I feel either way, I will say that I'm not real happy with the net neutrality crap. And, I'm also not really happy with everybody getting their way for anything they want. And we'll leave it there. But I just wondered if one party winning or the other would make a difference in sales. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever looked at that based on the past? Whether
it's not tied to a party, it's tied to the economy.
Gotcha.
So whichever party can make the economy go is going to be the party that's going to make the sales.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I suppose you're right. I'm trying to read comments as we're talking. Hey, Reef Dudes, you want to come in? Just chit chat. I'd love to hear what you're up to. Let me see if I can get you a new link really quickly. Dan, if you wanted to, I'm so sorry. I keep getting distracted. Tell me more about the piebalgs. Like, why should people buy them?
Well, the only reason people should buy them is because they're cool and they're different. That's, either you love them or you don't. It's For a long time I would never sell them. Um, I was afraid to because some people thought it was caused by inbreeding, and I've since proven that to be false. But
Mm-hmm.
um, they're cool, they're different, and there really isn't anybody else. Well, anybody else that's moving them to any extent, I should say. Ocean Rider has the Pintos, which are the same thing.
So the Pintos are the same. Okay, I guess I didn't know that. And what else do we have on the horizon from Seahorse Source? Anything new or coming?
Um, Not really. I'm going to have the CUDA going. I need to get the reed eye going again. Um, it's the last 2-3 weeks I've been running solo. I've been doing everything entirely 100% myself, so I haven't had much time.
Sure, I understand. And I am already planning my trip to come see you, hopefully to help, but also to videotape you. Um, can you tell me why certain species seem to be almost seasonal, like Barbori?
Well, there's a natural pattern to certain species of when they reproduce. For example, according to the scientific people, the erectus, for example, breed primarily in the spring and in the fall. But in captivity, we change that around with our different schedules. But there are some things, if you pay attention, such as a lunar cycle, big drops in barometric pressure will kick in spawning. And those are, I keep wondering how I could drop the pressure in the room to make them all spawn when I want to.
Right? Wouldn't that be nice? Have you figured it out?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us. Darn it. I'm sorry. I'm talking and trying to make this link. So, go on.
I know it's tough. I have the same problem as I read the comments and try to answer them.
Right. I know.
The only thing that we can really do is adjust the lighting period and the temperature to try to influence things. And sometimes that is successful. And sometimes if they're not spawning, sometimes just moving them to a different tank or switching mates will kick them into gear.
Switching mates. Okay. So, tell me this. When you talk about switching mates, when you do watch the entire video that I just posted today, or today, you'll see that one of my tips for feeding new seahorses was to add it was an old breeder trick to add an older sibling, or if you have seahorses and you buy new seahorses, add an older seahorse to teach the new seahorses to eat. But then, of course, I had to back up and say, disclaimer, you're putting the seahorse at risk, yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just curious, do you ever worry about that? And why or why not?
Do I worry about it? Yes. Do I sometimes do it? Yes.
Okay.
You always run risk when you mix from one tank to another tank. But if everybody is healthy and you've had them for a while, then the risk should be minimal.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I said. If I've bred them or trust the breeder, then that's a different ball game altogether. Okay, so I think that I did just post the link. Anybody who wants to join in chat, anything you want to talk about, we're here to chat. It's Wine Wednesday. But I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I said it. It's minimal risk. There's always, anytime you mix something from a different place, there's a risk. But I will say to what you said, if you're buying them from a reputable breeder directly, the risk should be minimal.
Gotcha. Ooh, oh my gosh. I feel so silly. Apologies, everyone. I'm over here in Streamlabs, and I didn't see that we have like 500 people in here now. Very cool. Apologies. Why don't you guys speak up? Here is Mr. Devin. This is Mr. Reef Dudes. Reef Dudes, sole purpose here is to get you to share this video because I am 20 subscribers away from 1,000. So Reef
Oh,
Dudes, talk
so close.
talk it.
So close.
What are you up to, man?
Talk it. Not too much. I am editing a video after this is like my third live stream of the day. It's like a live stream party day. Nothing
Shut
too exciting.
up. Don't you
Yeah.
guys hate the person who comes into your stream and brags about how awesome their streams are? No, I'm just kidding.
Or how it's a long hard day because it's been
I'll give you that.
Yep.
Cheers. I am so sorry that you had a long
I-
day.
I feel left out that I don't have wine on Wine Wednesday.
Oh, jeez. But I do appreciate. Actually, I learned so much from your videos and your streams. They're awesome. So I was just kidding. I love you. And but is there anything in the bag? What's going on with you? There's got to be a contest or a video I need to watch. Tell me.
I'm getting a new tank. Hopefully Friday. That's my excitement. Is hopefully coming. There'll be a newer, bigger upgrade.
Is this the tank that will hold the sand you were rinsing the other day?
Yes, it will. It's about 50, 60 gallons bigger than the current one, so it's kind of like a mini but decent size upgrade.
Nice. I have a question, actually. If you rinsed your sand the other day, what do you do with it while you're waiting for the tank?
It is currently sitting in a brute container in my living room.
With or without water?
No water. It was dry sand. I was just trying to get all the particulates out of it. So what I did is essentially just put a hose in it, let all the water percolate upwards. And then after that, I kind of try to let it dry out a bit. And then I rinsed it with RO and dumped it out a couple times just to kind of clean it to an extent. And then I just let it dry out. So I just put a fan on it and just let it dry out and just sit there until the tank shows up.
Gotcha.
So hopefully pretty soon. Yep.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I'm very excited. Hey, I have one other question for you, and then I want to talk to Jill real quick. But I do have another question for you later, so don't leave unless you tell me.
All right.
But what did you ever get a confirmation, or do you have any update to the pipefish? It's been a while.
They disappeared. I have no idea what happened when I was out of town.
Both of them?
Sadly, yes. So I think they're goners.
Yeah.
Makes me sad. I'll probably get new ones one day, but I don't know.
No, stuff happens. There's no judgment.
It does.
Honestly, I think it makes people feel better. I know it makes me feel better when I hear that, others do have these same issues where fish literally disappear or, whatever. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Still makes me sad, but it does happen. I mean, I was out of town for a week, 4 or 5 days or so, whatever. So, I mean, if something happens, there's a very good chance the cleanup crew may have had a snack on anything that was left over, which may explain why I never saw anything, or maybe something jumped. I don't think they would, but the dog had a snack. I don't know.
No,
Still a mystery to me.
I was gonna say, I really I should have a flash warning. Anybody who is a deep loving seahorse person like myself, don't listen to this comment. But I've had seahorses that I was so devastated that they did not make it that it took me till morning to remove them, and they were gone too. So I hear you. I know that's terrible.
Yep.
And I had something else to ask you, but I can't even remember what it was now. So let me ask very quickly, Jill, what's up?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm putting you up on the live screen, I hope.
Oh, yay.
Trying to learn this thing. I do have some more Reef Dew questions, but Jill, what's up with you?
Well, today I had a little mishap. I was cleaning my plant, and I checked, and I didn't see any seahorses on it. Took it out of the tank, and of course, at the bottom of the bucket was my seahorse, Ken, which is named after my husband. And I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ken's not, oh no, did I kill my Ken? So anyway, I quickly picked him up and put him right back in the tank. And I was so worried. I mean, he's the one that has given me some beautiful fry. And I do see a little bit of mix of pieball in there. But we'll see what happens, how they eventually turn out. My oldest ones of the piebald that are from Ken and Snow. My daughter named, of course, some of my seahorses too.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all black, but I do have, I don't know, maybe they'll turn out piebald, maybe they won't. But right now it looks like they are. I even have some that are like almost all yellow. It's crazy. So I have 3 batches of fry from those 2 piebalds. So it'll be interesting to see around 3 or 4 months how they turn out. But the latest piebald that I got from you, Dan, it was a girl. Her markings and everything are exactly the same. And the other yellow one has stayed yellow. And they're just gorgeous. I love my piebalds.
Cool.
Oh, I guess it's my turn to talk. Whoops. Sorry.
Kelly.
I'm terrible. Hey, Jill, I wanted to say, after I give anyone joining a chance to, kind of shout out, anyone can talk whenever they'd like. This is open chat. Tip it up and chat. But I would love, if you feel like it, it seems to not be freezing tonight. And I would love to have you maybe show us your tanks again if you feel like it in a little bit. But if you don't, maybe another night. It's fine.
I can do it right now.
Okay, go ahead. Come show.
But let me get my daughter to switch it around. You know how I am.
While you do that, let me see who else is in here. And I did think of a question I had to ask Reef Dude. So get yourself ready. And if it doesn't work out, it's fine. I'm just glad you came. Bottom line.
You're so sweet. You're the best. I learned so much from you guys. I'm telling you. All right, I'm going to get my daughter.
Yes, and we learn from each other, man. We learn from each other. Hey, Reef Dudes.
Hello.
I got a question.
Ask away.
Are you coming to the Midwest Aquatic Convention?
Is that the one in a few weeks?
Yes.
This really depends on if there is cheap flightings or not.
Bella, I need your help.
I was actually looking today, but so far I haven't found any stellar
I
deals
need
on
to
flights.
switch my camera so it shows.
Hey, Reef Dudes, hang on. I'm gonna mute her. Miss Jill, love you muches.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Do you know how to mute yourself?
But my daughter's helping me.
Okay, daughter,
You're good now.
my bestest friend.
Okay.
Just mute.
Showing them the wall.
Okay.
What?
I'm showing a wall. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, don't show the tanks yet. Let me finish talking to
Okay.
Reef Dudes, and then and
Okay.
just hang on, and then we'll get her done. Sorry, Devin. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Devin.
No.
No problem.
This is my fault for not running a more organized stream. I apologize. Devin. So why does this depend on flights?
Because it's far away and I'm on the West Coast.
Dude, this is my
Yes.
first speaking experience.
I know.
You've got to be
I was
there.
I was actually looking today at flights. However, I have not found any stellar deals yet. However, if there does happen to be a super cheap stellar flight deal that shows up, then there's potential.
Or
So
yeah, we'll have to talk offline because I need you there. I need your Reef Dude support. But and very quickly, I want to show you. I copied you. I mentioned this in a few posts. I copied you. And hang on, let me put myself up. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm always up. All right. Anyways, so in case you guys can't see, let's see if I can do this. I can't do this very well. Sorry. But who's your mama? With the seahorses. It doesn't look very good on me, but anyways, it's beautiful in person, and I use this super soft, silky material because Reef Dudes suggested it. And
all right.
I still wear your shirt constantly, like all the time, and it's awesome. But
Awesome.
if anybody does happen to see this stream, we have a post on the Reef Dudes Saltwater chat, where I have said very clearly that if I get 100 likes, I will send this shirt to not this shirt, a copy of this shirt to Devin, and he will wear it in a video if we get 200 likes. Correct, Devin?
Sure.
I
Sounds
never
good.
asked for that, but I said it anyways. Okay.
You could just send me one and I'll wear it in a video.
I know, honey. I was just trying to be funny.
I
And
liked it.
And I did want to tell you on a side note. Obviously, I'm doing a lot with the macros and the seahorses, and I've got a lot of stuff that I've got to finish up and get done. But I am moving back into the big redoing my reef. So not only am I going to be watching your videos, but I'm going to need you to come to my videos and help me out.
Sounds good. Let me know.
I'm going to literally sit here and say, "Oh my gosh, what do I do with this?" But
Sounds good. Let me know. I'll help you out.
And I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have you experimented at all with Miracle Mud?
I have some in my tank now, and I have about 5 bags in my shed waiting for my new tank.
Nice.
There was a crazy sale, so I kind of splurged.
And so, what do you love about it?
I see it as a trace element battery in a sense, right? Because it has a bunch of these different minerals and elements in it that you may not be dosing, and if it's something your tank needs, then it'll pull it out from the mud. That's how I look at it.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there's other stuff to it, but that's basically how I see it. So,
Gotcha.
Yep, a contingency plan for whatever the corals need.
Gotcha. Final question based on what you just said.
Yep.
I saw a post the other day, and if anyone in the stream remembers what the heck the name was, please let me know. But it was something weird like, just to refresh everybody's memory, it was Lisa or Lucy or whatever. No, it was Lisa Lou who actually posted it. But the product was called Sea Life or Sea something like that. And then it had a number. And it was blocks.
Dosing?
Yes, it was blocks that you throw in your tank, and it's supposed to release as it knows somehow what your tank needs. Have you ever heard of this?
There was something, I think it was called Sea Balance or something. I don't recall it being blocks. I was under the impression it was a liquid. But that being said, I've never tried it. It was supposed to be an all-in-one supplement.
Yes.
So it might be that, but I thought it was like a liquid. It was just a one part you dose, but I'm not 100%.
Gotcha. Well, real quick, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope, go for it.
No, if you had something else to say it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to try and get the company that did that on the live stream, but I kind of forgot about it, so thanks for the reminder.
Oh, that's awesome.
There used to be another company that used to offer some blocks that did supposedly the similar type thing. Their blocks were designed like a shell. That goes back several years. So
I'm gonna get Dan. Do you know the post that I'm talking about?
I do. I've never used anything like that, but supposedly, according to the company prior to that, it releases the stuff as the water needs it. It only saturates to a certain point. I don't know how effective that is. I don't know.
What was the name? Do you remember?
I don't remember the name. I have to go back and dig it up.
Okay. Well, no worries. We could maybe talk about it next time. All right. Well, maybe I will look for that name while if I can get back over to the right screen, let Miss Jill, who's been waiting patiently, show us her tanks. And Reef Dudes will come back to you. Sorry. Jill?
Yes.
All right. Tell us what we're looking at and what's going on.
So this is my piebald tank. You can see right, this is one of my, let's see here. I think I'm like zoomed in. I can't really tell what I'm showing you right now.
You're showing us a toadstool.
Okay. So let me move down
I
here.
see the seahorse. Oh,
yes, this is my most recent one from Dan.
Oh my gosh.
I love her.
Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's very pretty. And right behind her, I don't know if you can see, this is Snow.
I see the tail. Okay.
She's black and white. And then up here around the toadstool, I have another one. I'm planning to just have 2 in here. I'm in the process of moving my clownfish to a 12-gallon tank and getting rid of that tank and moving 2 more seahorses upstairs, so I haven't quite done that yet. And then there's Ken.
Which one's Ken?
He's the
Husband or the
one on the
seahorse?
pink artificial that I dropped today. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. Oh, awful. But I think he's okay. I don't. He's on the pink.
I see him
in the back.
Yes.
Do you think he looks pregnant?
Is there any way, is your daughter close by?
I can call her over. 1 second. Let me.
Or here, I can tell you how to do it. No, listen, Jill. Okay.
Yes.
On your screen, without touching any other buttons, try to. Are you on an iPhone?
Oh, yes. That's my dog's too. Sorry.
That's okay. On your iPhone, without touching any buttons, put. I wish I could show you. Put 2 fingers in the middle of the picture and spread your fingers apart to zoom in on the seahorse.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, I got it. Okay. Do you see him a little better now?
No. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me mute this.
Okay.
Ken, can you keep him down? I'm live.
This is the fun of live, folks. And we welcome and love everyone. And we appreciate joiners. So bring on the dogs. All right?
Somebody tell Ken that his wife is live.
His Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm trying to zoom.
The way that it works for me on my iPhone is if I
2
click.
fingers.
Yep. If I place 2 fingers and zoom, it zooms. And if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Ken, my husband, not Seahorse, can you help me zoom, please?
We want to see the breathing and the belly, or the pouch, I'm sorry.
We're trying to get Ken back there.
You know what? Actually, you might not be able to because you're in a hangout. Maybe that's it.
How can you do it?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not zooming. Hold on.
He knows
I think
how.
that's-
If he's...
I don't know if you can...
Devin, go ahead.
He's the pink.
Yeah, no, it's probably part of the camera app. It's probably not built into the Hangouts app, so that's probably why.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see oh, here comes my daughter. She might be able to.
Okay. I was going to say, looking from the very back, there's a possibility he's pregnant. He does look a little chunky, but that could just be that you're taking good care of him. And I am a little, I'll be completely honest, I am the one that on the post said, no worries, I've had a seahorse out of the tank for a minute, it's fine. But the fact that he's does he typically act like this? Does he typically put his back to you and kind of...
Yeah, he's been very shy, and I think it's because I really do think he's pregnant, and he hides a lot when he gets pregnant.
Okay, then you're
Makes
fine.
sense.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. If he did not usually act that way, and he did not, whatever, then that might concern me, but we're back to you're A-okay. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
So
I think he's good. I fed him. He ate. He was good. I felt so bad. Oh my gosh.
Hey, stuff happens. Hey, Jill, real quick. The
Yeah.
seahorse you are focused on now,
Yes.
Dan, can you tell me, is the piebald gene coloration, etc., whatever you want to call it, is it basically every part of that seahorse that is white? Or what makes that a piebald?
Well, piebald by definition is 2 colors.
Right?
In reality, we have some seahorses that have 3. And there's a different name for it. You have to go look it up. If you look up horses and look up piebald, it goes in and explains it a lot better. But, in this case, this seahorse doesn't look white where I would expect it to be white. It's kind of a yellowish color. So that makes me question what's exactly happening with the chromatophores.
Mm-hmm. So, Jill, we need you to keep coming back because we need to study this seahorse. But I mean,
Okay.
one of my piebalds was yellow, white, and black, and beautiful and awesome. So, yeah. As a final question, then I'm going back to Devin for a few more because I know he's busy and probably has to go. But as a breeder selling seahorses, when you're going to sell a piebald seahorse, what do you look for to qualify them as a piebald? I know you've said a lot of things, but I'm asking, like, what qualifies them? Just the...
Is that for Jill or for me?
You're the breeder.
Okay.
Oh, Jill's a breeder
for
too. I'm
piebald-
sorry, you're right. Go ahead.
Small breeder.
For the piebald, what I'm looking for is abnormalities, if I can speak correctly, in the coloration of the seahorse. And, seahorses can change to different colors and have a couple of different colors with the patterns and stuff. But what we see is splotches of abnormal coloration. And technically, piebald means 2 color. As I said, I can't remember the name for the 3 color, but there's a name for it. And that's all I'm looking for is the abnormalities in the coloration. Sometimes it's in splotches, sometimes it's mixed up in the pattern itself, and sometimes it's a solid color.
But so, what if you had a regular looking erectus that just had a couple? I mean, like, every erectus has white markings. Not every, but most erectus have markings that are a different color. So I guess
Right,
I'm just
but
stupid. I'm
these
confused.
are abnormal. In the normal seahorse, you'll have the erectus. You're going to have the lines, and then you're going to have the saddle markings,
Okay.
and then you'll have little white spots. In this case, we'll have splotches of areas where the coloration is abnormal from the rest of the seahorse.
Ding, ding, ding. I got it. I understand now. Makes sense. It was just confusing,
Sometimes it's very, very subtle and it's very small and it's hard to I can't really sell them as piebalds, but I have to be careful if I sell them as regular rectus. I have to let customers know ahead of time when I'm shipping them, because otherwise, if those areas grow, they'll think they have a bacterial infection.
Right. And I got sidetracked earlier when we were talking, but that was actually my point as to why you need to watch the end of the video I posted today, because I made the point that, jumping in and thinking something is wrong and treating or medicating or going crazy or freaking out is not the answer. When you think
Right.
something's wrong, talk to the breeder, talk to the vendor, come to the Seahorse Whisperer Society, or Seahorse Sources group, whatever. But get real advice. Don't just hear one person say, "Oh my gosh, that must be lymphomatosis," and go put medication in a tank. It won't work.
Agreed.
So.
I would agree. Seahorses are over medicated.
Well, that's why you need to watch the end of my video. But anyways, okay. Jill, I have seen that you are showing us stuff. What are you showing us, though?
This is my fry tank.
Okay.
I'm trying. It's hard to see what. Let's see. Okay, now I can see better. That's one of my fries. It's a little itchy, but not too bad. That's one, and you can see a little bit of coloration on him. Let's see if I can find some other ones in here, and I can kind of show you this is my biggest one I have. They hide, but you can see he's really big. He's a big black one. He's hiding right now. I got some hitching right now. I have a whole bunch of Artemia in there right now. Enriched, of course, with Dan's enrichment. Let's see here. They don't come out. They seem to come out more when it's light out. So I'm trying to look in here and see if I can show you some of the color differences, if I can find some. But I'm using this tank as a grow out tank.
Mhm.
It's about 30 gallons, and I have live sand in it. And I find that by doing this, I don't have to siphon all the time. I have to keep up with the water changes, but this seems to be a lot easier for me as far as working full time and the siphoning part. And but the tank, of course, seems to stay a lot cleaner, and I have, it seems like a lot less losses when I put them in here. So
Can I ask you
um,
why you say that?
I just feel like, I mean, the siphoning, um, I even, I just feel like it's just easier to keep. I don't know why. It's just the ammonia and everything. I hang on the back filter. I have some pretty good flow in here. But I have probably around 40 in here. Um, of from ages, I think they're like 2 months to 3 months, maybe. It's hard to, I mean, maybe I can zoom in. There's a couple down here, but
Quick question. So basically, and there are many there are many different ways to do things. I'm not saying you're wrong, but your method is to keep a 30-gallon grow out tank with live
Right.
sand, live rock,
Right.
and you are putting fry from multiple batches into this tank, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they are surviving better for you than when you were
Yes.
keeping them separate.
Well, yeah, and I don't put them into this. I just discovered this because I actually tried to split the first fry that Ken, or first babies that Ken, batch that Ken had, and I split them. We had them in a 12-gallon, and I took some of those that are around 2.5 to 3 months now, and I put them in this tank, and those are the biggest ones. I put like 3 in there, and they have grown so much better. And I added, of course, like the live foods, the chopped mysis, and they seem to feed better in here. And it just, I don't know, they seem to do better in a tank like this once they get past that, when they're ready for frozen. I don't keep them in this tank when they're really young. I keep them in like a 5-gallon or a 12-gallon. And then I've been putting in this tank, and this is my grow out tank, and they seem to be doing really well in here.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I've had a couple.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I've had a couple of losses, but I mean, I'm really new to this. I only started this, there's 3 batches in here, and these are the Erectus. I tried with other species, and it was just did not work. I tried everything, but it's only been like 3 months since I've had my Erectus fry. But I've got 2 survivors from the first batch that are really big. And then, I mean, for me anyway. And like I said, I can see the coloring starting to change, etc., which I really like. But there's not a lot out right now. I think it's their bedtime.
Sure. And what I was going to say actually is I would love to see more of them when they're awake and see the coloration and stuff. And I want to make clear that there's no wrong way. If this way works for you, then it's right. That's the bottom line. There's no judgment here. I did want to ask, I'm getting some static, I'm not sure why, but I did want to ask, does everybody else hear the static? But, okay.
I did.
I just wanted to ask if this is the converted to mysis tank, why, I'm just curious why there's brine shrimp.
Okay, so I was just doing I followed people's advice on some of the Facebook pages. I do, in the morning, I start out with the Cyclopes and a little bit of chopped mysis, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I get home from my job, I then do the cyclopes, and then at night, which is frozen, I'm doing the brine shrimp. I see that even some of the younger ones are eating the chopped mysis. Um,
Oh,
but oh, I'm getting low power mode. I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. If we,
Um, are you there, Kelly?
yes, go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, and that's my method of trying to wean them off of Artemia.
Well, what I would love to. How old are they again?
They are anywhere from, let's see here. I think the last thing I counted, my gosh, some of them are about, the youngest ones are around 6 weeks, and then the oldest ones are around 3 months.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, please let us know how it goes. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Because
right.
there's no wrong answers. You know, and a lot depends on why you're doing things. Like you and I have discussed before that we breed seahorses because we love seahorses. You know, we just want to breed seahorses. It's not like a business. Like,
No.
right. So there's a big difference. Having a big industrial type setup sometimes doesn't work for people. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with anything you're doing. Aside from, I would say, well, I don't know. I don't have any judgments personally. But I'll talk to you on the side. Nothing judgmental, but just a few things I'm curious about and that I'd like to know how you feel about. So we'll talk later, but I think you're doing...
just send me some messages and stuff, and then we can talk like that too.
Yes, absolutely.
did
because
today.
I think you're doing a great job. And I love that you come and share your information here.
And I'm an educator, and
Yes.
I'm all about, I'm not going to, as soon as I had the fry, I'm like, I got to figure out a way to raise these babies. And I just feel like we're doing something good for the world too.
Oh, I
And-
couldn't agree more. Where did you
and-
get the advice to give Cyclops E's twice a day and then Artemia? I'm just curious.
I only give it once a day, and I got that advice, I believe, one of the Facebook pages, I forget which one.
I mean, it doesn't matter. But so your feeding plan, and I'm not asking you for any other reason than I'm curious, because if this works for you, I want to know. So you're basically feeding Cyclopses and
Correct.
then live brine at night, live Artemia at night,
Yes.
enriched, you said. And then
Yes.
what's the middle meal?
Chopped mysis.
Oh, okay. I get it. So this is the weaning. Okay. I get it. Nice.
Well, I've learned from you guys, so that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing from all of you.
No,
So,
you're doing a great job.
Hopefully it works. Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to let you go because my battery's about dead, but it's always so good talking to you, Kelly. You're a great inspiration, and all of you on here, and Dan. So have a great night.
You too, Jill. You're an awesome inspiration also. And please
Oh,
keep
thank
coming
you.
back. And thank you
I
for
will.
sharing your systems, because you probably helped someone who had no idea what to do. They now know what to do, and you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You keep it up too, girl.
All right, honey.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so I lost Reef Dudes. He couldn't wait so long. He's so popular. I understand. I don't understand. But anyways, Dan, do you ever use
Yes, ma'am.
Cyclopses? I'm just curious.
I used to, but I don't anymore
Why?
because I don't need to. What we started doing a time ago was we put live mysids in with the fry, and once they start eating the live mysids and the adult brine shrimp, then we just go straight to frozen food.
So you said you don't need it because I'm sorry, you started breaking up.
Cyclopes is used to get them to transition between baby Artemia and frozen food. And we don't need you to do that because we introduce adult Artemia. And once they start taking the adult Artemia, and we also co-culture live mysids with them, and they start attacking the adult mysids in the tank, we just start putting in frozen food and they start going after it. Frozen
Whoa.
mysis.
I have a question. You said you co-culture mysids in the tank with them. I knew you did that with dwarf seahorses. Do you do that with all the seahorses?
Yes.
Oh, shit. So you literally have basically a bunch of mysid systems.
Yeah, what I do is when we put a new batch of fry in, we put a handful of live mysids in there, and the live mysids will take off because of all the food. They also act as a cleanup crew, and the population will expand to a point, and then when it starts contracting, then they're ready for, us to feed frozen mysis. And then of course it's always kind of comical at the end when there's 2 or 3 live mysids left that are running helter skelter trying to avoid every seahorse in the tank.
Right, of course. That's not funny though, because that might be considered mean. So
I don't know. I have
I'm
to laugh when I watch
laughing
it.
behind the sheet. Anyways, so the thing is, I just want to say for anyone watching this that I am completely and totally on Jill's wavelength here, because I am the person who heard people like Dan and people like Tom Hornsby and people like Felicia and Tammy and all, Alyssa, sorry, and Kyle and all of the great breeders tell me do this, 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 and this. You don't need this because this and this. And they are correct, for the record. But when you're in a different situation and you don't have the same equipment and you don't have the same resources, you have to figure out another way. I mean, I had such a difficult time weaning fry onto frozen foods. Now we have Miss Lucy, who's going to do a video showing you, psh, psh, psh. It's easy peasy. You just do this and it's done. And I really, really hope that you guys all benefit from that video and are able to do it snap, but I never was. I can tell you, if you look back through my Facebook, my Instagram, any of my social medias, I went through hell trying to get fry to eat. I would literally sit there and cry at the tank, begging these fry, please eat anything, and I'd throw everything at them, and I'd remove it, and I'd clean, and I'd go crazy, and those stinking fry would not eat anything. So my point is, yes, please absolutely listen to the experts. Am I breaking up? Okay, well, I'm going to finish my sentence. Please absolutely always listen to the experts. Always take the advice of the pros. I don't consider myself a pro. I'm like a almost pro. So my advice is what you want to take if their advice isn't working. And I'm with Jill. The thing is, sometimes you have to find other ways. Her way might not be the best for everyone. If you want to start a breeding facility, whatever. But yeah, I had to do some different things too, because my seahorses didn't just jump. And when you have only a certain number of seahorses to work with, it makes a big difference. So I'm rambling again as usual, but we should always listen to the pros because they do know what they're doing. They've done this for multiple years, forever and ever. But if you're trying to breed seahorses, if you find something that works, just kind of, do it. What do you have to say to that, Dan?
I won't argue the point. What works for one doesn't always work for another because there's multiple variables involved in systems.
Right. Exactly. Right. And that's a good point. When I started off, I had multiple teeny tiny fry tanks that I was trying to run with bubblers and sponge filters. And now that I have larger setups and, sumps and UV sterilizers and etc., I'm good. If another person chooses to use live and they're able to do that successfully, cool. Whatever. It's whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what my point was.
Well, it's a bit different when I'm using a 100-gallon tank to raise fry in than somebody's using a 10-gallon tank.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing too, is that I've gotten a lot of times I've gotten online and I've been told, oh, just mush the mices, throw it in, blah, 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 da-da-da, yada, yada. And I've, as I said, literally sat by the tank crying, saying they won't eat it. Why won't they eat it?
Well, I'll tell you something, Kelly. When I first started, my first several seahorses, I collected myself. And I collected a juvenile erectus, two of them, a male and a female, that were about 2 inches in size. And for 9 months, I fed them adult brine shrimp because I could not get them to eat frozen. My sister got involved, and in 2 days, she had them eating frozen food. And what I learned from her was that it takes patience, persistence, and confidence. And it was like magic. She could get any seahorse to eat frozen food in a matter of a day or two.
I would like to hire your sister. Lucy is going to do an absolutely amazing weaning video, but I'd like your sister's video too. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I learned from her how to do it, and it's so much of it has to do with confidence, with patience and persistence. There is some technique, but really and truly, it's almost like magic. When you all of a sudden you're no longer worried about it and you got confidence in what you're doing, it just seems like it happens.
Okay, so for anyone watching, let me be extremely clear. When you no longer have to worry about it, meaning these are not your only 2 seahorses, that's the problem. If they're your only 2 seahorses, or your first batch of fry, or your first whatever, you desperately want to keep them happy. So you go above and beyond, and you try to keep them happy, and blah, blah, blah. No. When you stop trying to keep them happy, and you say, this is what you're going to get, they eat it. That's it. Right?
Pretty much.
I mean, seriously. One of the points I made in my video is that seahorses are not going to die from one day without food. It's not a good thing. Go ahead.
I've gotten, the last 2 times I've gotten wild-caught red-eye, which has been a number of years, but I think it was 2011, 2012 last time I got them. When I get wild-caught seahorses in like that, I don't make it a point to have live food on hand. Now,
really?
I can get live food. Yep, I can get live food quickly if I need to, but within 2 days, wild-caught red-eye adults, I had eating frozen food. And so much of it is that, like you said, I'm not worried about them starving and dying instantly from starving. I just force the food. If you want to eat, eat this, or else don't eat. And they do.
Right. Now with fry, I've had a different experience. But with adults, you're right. Absolutely.
Well, with fry is a little bit tougher because they got to recognize it as a food.
Right.
But, if you're training them to eat larger food items, they're looking for larger food items to begin with. Because the baby brine shrimp after they get to a certain size, it's really not filling them up very well.
Right. Yeah. It's a tough stuff. It's really tough to know what's right, what's wrong. I don't think there is a wrong. If you get them eating, that's cool. But I can say
Cheryl asked a question, what do you do when the seahorses won't take brine shrimp? And that's a great question. Um, in our case, we usually have some live mysids on hand, but if I feed them some live mysids, it's not going to be enough to sustain them. It's going to be enough to tease them to eat something, keep the gut working, and I just keep going on with the frozen food.
I'm trying to see where Cheryl said that comment. Where are
Facebook.
you? Oh,
Well, I
God.
got about 6 screens open. She's on Facebook.
How do you do all that? Oh my goodness. Is it in the group or where?
It's on the Facebook Live.
Okay. Sorry, guys. My Miss
She's on.
Lucy usually handles all of these things, but she's slacking tonight. You're grounded, Lucy. Just kidding. I'm sure you've handled everything and I didn't see it, but that's what I need. I need somebody to handle stuff. Sorry. Okay, what do you have to do when okay. Wild caught seahorses that won't take. Oh, no. Sometimes captive bred seahorses won't take brine shrimp. No, that's not true. That's not true.
No, there's cases where captive bred won't. I've had captive bred seahorses that basically turn their nose up at it.
Well, you haven't watched you haven't watched my video, let's face it. And you are grounded also. But
I watched what I could.
Grounded. But anyways, what are your tips for someone who gets a captive bred seahorse, puts them in the tank as you instruct, per your acclimation instructions, which were included, hint, hint, wink, wink, go click on the link, see the unboxing of seahorse or seahorses in my video. What do you suggest if they want to eat?
The first step is to get them acclimated in the tank and then offer some food. When you offer the food, they're not used to direct feeding, i.e. with a pair of tweezers or a turkey baster. You're going to scare the hell out of them chasing around the tank with that. So you drop a little food above them, step back a few feet, and make your presence where it's not felt to them, and let's see if they go for the food. If they don't, you repeat the process on your normal feeding schedule that you will be doing. And if you find that you go for 24 hours, they still haven't eaten, then maybe try adding a drop of garlic to the food. And if that doesn't cut it, you just keep repeating the process. If it goes for more than a couple of days, then I would call the breeder. And there's some other tricks that you can do, such as moving them to a glass bottom tank, put them back into the environment they're accustomed to coming out of. Or if you have access to live food, you can give them a little bit of live food just to kickstart them. But you don't really want to fill them up. All you're looking to do is get them to eat something. Once they take that first bite, it's usually all over with. After that, they're going to start eating.
Right. Couldn't agree more. And I should have made that point in the video. And I did want to ask Jimmy Hensley, I hope I pronounced that correctly, asked, would adult copepods be a good source for food as a free feeding? Like,
No.
why?
Most copepods are too small. It's like feeding baby Artemia. Amphipods, on the other hand, would be great. But copepods themselves, most copepods are going to be way too small for the seahorses. Some seahorses will not even recognize them as a food item. And if they do, and if they start eating nothing but copepods, then you run into the problem that they're going to become malnourished because there's not enough mass in the copepods to sustain them.
Okay. I can agree with that, but I have to half disagree because I had a species that I have not told anybody, even you, about, that I own now. And they were giving me troubles, and I was very freaked out and worried. And when I added copepods to the tank, they did exactly as you're saying. They'd stick one once. I don't even know if they were because they're so small. I don't know if it was actually making a difference. But the fact that it got them hunting made them eat other things. So, I mean, it, you know. I don't have a point.
Well, well, no, you have a point, and occasionally you'll find a seahorse that will eat copepods. The problem is that I've had seahorses eat nothing but copepods
right.
in that case, and then they become malnourished because the copepods are not enough mass to sustain them. A seahorse needs to eat somewhere between roughly 10 to 15% of their body weight per day. You don't have enough copepods in the tank to do that.
Where's Ray?
Ray was on Facebook a little bit ago.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Ray. I did plan on having Discord as the chat tonight, but I just wasn't prepared to put it out there and not do it correctly. I really apologize. Next week, you are the star, buddy. I promise. But, okay. So, what else, Dan? Have you seen any other questions that I've missed?
I don't think so. Cheryl brought up the point that it's difficult to deworm wild caught if they won't take brine shrimp, and that is true. There are some workarounds, but it's a real pain in the you-know-what. I generally don't have a problem getting seahorses to eat adult brine shrimp. Every now and then I'll get some, like the Barbary, for example. After a period of time, they just quit eating it. So that can sometimes happen. But
wait,
even
whoa! Stop there. You just
Yep.
said the Barbary stopped eating it?
Yep.
Why?
Yep, they just ignore it because they don't want it.
Because
I asked them, they wouldn't tell me.
you're not a seahorse whisperer. Oh, now I understand. Okay. But really, why could that possibly be?
It could be for any number of reasons. I mean, brine shrimp are not a natural food for seahorses.
I seriously think this is proof, and we should do a scientific study. Where is Graham Short when we need him? We need to what's her name? What's the lady name that does the research?
Nancy?
Yes, Nancy. We need you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not going anywhere near her or them. Sorry, Nancy.
Why?
But because I'm like sitting here rambling like an idiot. But anyways, I would love to know why this happens. I would love to know.
Well, it's individual preferences, and I can't say exactly why, but I've had certain seahorses over time get to where they just didn't eat the adult brine shrimp. They would wait until they had the other food. It's just like a dog that sometimes won't eat a certain brand of dog food.
Well, people always laugh at me when I say that different species eat differently. I've always said that. Some species just eat differently. And everybody thinks I'm crazy. So.
Well, each seahorse is an individual too, and even within the same species, you get some that will, some that won't.
Right. Absolutely.
In our case, they were eating the brine initially, and they ate it for several years, and then all of a sudden, it was like they just stopped eating it.
Wow. Do you think there could be any chance that it was the quality of the brine, or?
These were the adults. These were the broodstock.
No, the brine.
Same brine, same place, same process, same enrichments.
You know that brine changes. I mean.
What do you mean?
I mean that the brine that if you buy brine shrimp from a company this year and buy it 5 years from now, it could be very well different.
Yeah.
Depending on red tide, depending on da-da-da, depending on da-da-da.
Right, but the brine shrimp that I buy comes from a brine shrimp company that breeds large-scale brine shrimp for aquaculture. They supply all the stores in South Florida. It's a massive, massive operation. And I'm not saying there can't be variances to it, but I don't have that problem elsewhere. It's just, you get a couple of odd seahorses that happens with. Everybody else is fine with it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was admiring your beautiful seahorse picture.
Whose?
Yours.
Which one?
The seahorse picture you use on every social media. It's very
That
beautiful.
was that was one of the from the first batch of seahorses we raised, and Dr. Martin Belly he took the picture.
No
shipped him-
kidding?
Yep.
Wow.
I shipped him. I think it was 4 of them, and it was like the 3rd or 4th order that I had shipped, and they were all solid canary yellow when I shipped them. And he took that picture 2 weeks after receiving them.
Wow. That's awesome.
I asked him for the picture, and he gave me, the free rights to use it as I wish, and that picture has stuck around ever since the beginning.
That's awesome. So when you see a picture of a seahorse with a ton of cirri, we all know what it means and that it can come and go and etc. But I mean, is there any way to make it grow? Or
Sometimes in a tank, if you have macros and stuff in the tank, they will develop the cirri. I've had customers who requested no cirri. I've shipped them seahorses with no cirri, and 2 months later they called me up.
Whoa. I'm interrupting you. Cirri?
Yep.
It's pronounced cirri.
I don't know.
Because now I'm mad. Go on.
Maybe
I'm
it's
sorry.
I don't know, but that's how I was always pronounced it.
I'm sure you're right. Go ahead.
But the customer would call me up two months later and say the seahorse grew it. It's not something that's predictable. I've had batches where they were covered with it, and I've had batches from the same parents that had none. Lately, I haven't seen very much of it. Occasionally, I get some with some small amounts, but when you see the long cirri like in this picture, usually that has a tendency to stick around a little bit longer than the little short nubs, if you will.
Gotcha.
I do have a broodstock that has nice long cirri on her.
Hey, can you talk about your broodstock for a second?
Uh-oh.
I need 2 seconds. For serious.
Sure. Okay. And the question is? When you say talk about it, what do you mean? Did I lose you? Looks like you're muted. Oh, it's Lucy. Did we lose you, Kelly? Oh, let's see. My Facebook hasn't been updating. So, Cheryl, some of your broodstocks still have cirri?
Well, that was so much fun. I couldn't stand it. All right.
What happened?
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
No, I was trying to figure out where you went. What happened?
No, I had to go break up a fight. It was fun. I'm so sorry. We'll edit this out. But what were you saying before I ran off?
I was asking you what you said. Talk about my broodstock, and I asked you what you wanted me to talk about. What did you want to know?
And then I walked away, and you sat here, right? Wonderful. Sorry. I don't know what I meant. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I meant. I was asking about the cirri. I'm going to start calling it cirri. I've never heard that pronunciation. I've always heard cirri.
Cheryl has a bunch of cirri on her broodstock.
Yeah?
I have one seahorse that has a lot of cirri on her, and that's the only one of my broodstock.
Wow. You know what though? I had an entire batch of fry that were just covered in it. I mean, I took so many pictures. It was so beautiful. They were so gorgeous. Not a single one of them kept it. So it's kind of I almost think it's kind of a shady thing. I mean, not a shady thing. I'm sorry. Let me explain what I'm saying.
No,
To
no,
sell based
I
on
get it.
Siri or Siri or however you want to pronounce it is kind of
You could-
shady because it comes and goes. And I saw many posts today in Seahorse Sources group talking about what do I do if there's algae growing on my seahorses. Am I wrong or right to assume and say that Siri is algae, a form?
No, it's not. It's an
No.
appendage. It's an appendage from the seahorse. They grow it to camouflage themselves.
Okay. Maybe my misconception was the fact that they grow it to camouflage themselves with the algae, right?
Well, in most cases, if they have a lot of Siri on them, if they're coming from a real grassy area, they'll probably have a lot of Siri as well. I've seen wild caught that look so gross because of all the growth on them that you would have freaked out if they had been in your tank. But that occurs to them naturally in the wild, and it helps camouflage them. In the tank environment, a lot of times they'll develop a little cyano or something like that on them, and people will freak out. But it's a sign of water quality in the tank, but it's really not harmful. It's not hurting the seahorse having a little bit of algae on them.
So, what do you advise when people say that? Just deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, focus on your water quality, but don't freak out about it. I'm not going to break out the green 3M scrub pad and clean the seahorse. I have seen people take some pantyhose on their fingertip and kind of gently wipe some of this stuff off. But, really and truly, I wouldn't do that. I would focus more on reducing my nitrates and phosphates in the tank than I would to try to clean up the seahorse.
Yeah. Okay, I'm messing with my crazy hair. Sorry, guys. It's been a rough week. But I was actually going to make a comment on that. I'm going to personally give my personal advice to never do anything to remove algae from your seahorses. Period. Because I've been in a situation where I tried to remove algae from my seahorses. I wanted it to look pretty. I couldn't stand it. I tried to softly, you guys know how ridiculously delicate and I could be with my seahorses because I love them so much. And I softly tried to remove the algae, and it rips off their skin. The algae grows into their skin, literally. And if you try to remove it in any way, shape, or form, you know what? Please just don't. I had a seahorse get a skin infection. It was awful. That probably would not happen in every case. If you want to, blow something at them, use a turkey baster and... Wait, I'm trying to get in the camera. This is the seahorse. Whoa. This is the seahorse. This is the baster. If you want to at the seahorse to try to blow it off, cool. But don't rub them. Don't mess with their skin. Please don't mess with their skin. I went through heartache beyond you can imagine trying to get algae off a seahorse just because it was growing it because it's natural. That's what they do. So, yeah. All right. Anyways. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we got to chat about. I'm kind of pretty random tonight. My hair's a mess, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm feeling pretty self-conscious. Sorry, guys. But, Dan, how much are the piebald seahorses?
129 and 114 for group members.
129 and 114 for group members of...
Seahorse Source Group.
Gotcha. Okay. And what's up next?
Oh, maybe bed.
Well, gee. I meant like,
As far as the seahorses go, what's up next is I'm waiting for this bloody red tide to get out of my way so I can go back to focusing on the CUDA.
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
Do you ever import species?
I have, but I haven't done it completely by myself. I've usually piggybacked on other orders with either public aquariums or another company that was importing, and because I didn't want the full
Sure.
amount. Um, I I take that back. I have brought in engines and reed-eye directly before, um, but it's usually cheaper for me to piggyback on another order than it is for me to do myself, and um, it can get very, very expensive. It's also time consuming, and I don't have the time and the expertise in dealing with all the import export crap. So I almost always piggyback when I can.
Well, I'm actually thinking of a piggyback. Um, actually, I have another question. Are there rules regarding species here in the U.S.?
Once they're in the U.S., we can ship anywhere we want to, as the law currently stands.
No. I'm saying, can I buy other species from other countries and bring them in as long as they're allowed? Am I allowed?
Right. The problem is you need to get a CITES permit first.
And if I'm working on that?
Once you have the CITES permit, then you can bring them in. Getting a CITES permit to import is easier than it is to get a CITES permit to export.
Oh, I know.
Exporting is ridiculous. Once you have your export permit, then you have to get the CITES permit, and that, in the past, my experience has been it takes about 9 to 12 months to get the permit in place to export.
Yeah, I
and
know.
that's for that specific batch. Every time you export, you have to get a new permit, which is a real pain in the butt. And it sucks because countries like Sri Lanka, I can call Sri Lanka, say I want some seahorses, and I can have them within a week. But if Sri Lanka wants some seahorses for me, well, they're going to wait 3/4 to a year to get them.
I know. We've talked about this before. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I would really love to see new species, not new, just species that we don't currently have,
Different.
back into the circle. And I'll contact you afterwards, but I want to do some sort of piggybacking with multiple people and make this happen because now, final question. This is my final question, aside from some dumb questions that I'll ask just to say goodbye. But my final question is, do you think that there are certain species that should just not be captive bred?
Yes.
What species?
Well, most of them revolve around the species we know very little about, and some that just don't make sense to have. For example, the ones that are on that special little gorgonia, the pygmies.
Yeah.
Those don't make any sense. First of all, they're a fraction of the size. Yeah, they're so tiny it doesn't make sense, and they have a symbiotic relationship with what they live with in the wild. Some of the species, H. zebra, for example, we don't know much about. We don't know of people who've succeeded in keeping them, and they're very rare. So I don't consider those a viable species overall unless somebody manages to get a pair and has massive success breeding them. Whatever we bring in should be something that's sustainable through captive breeding. And right now, what I would love to see, I'm still working with the Halonus. I would love to have the fisher eye. I'd love to see the hippocampus and the other one over in Europe. Both of those have proven to be sustainable. The H. fuscus is a great species, looks like a miniaturized cuda, but for whatever reason in captivity, they seem to breed and then stop. Um, I don't know, so far nobody in the U.S. has had sustainable long-term breeding with them. And then there's some other species, the
What
sublongatas,
about whitey eye or whitey, however you say it?
the
Whitey
whitey
eye.
eye. Well, that and the Proceras, which is a sister species, and some people say are the same. Um, those are nice seahorses. Those could do well. They were actually available in the United States 15, 20 years ago, um, but they're you're going to find that those are not as durable as the erectus are.
Right. I mean, I understand that. Anytime you bring in a new species, it's not going to be erectus. We've perfected erectus. I get it.
Well, yeah, but I would argue that from what I've seen, the hippocampus seems to be a very durable, hardy little seahorse.
Really.
Yep, very popular in Europe. I mean, they have them all over the place in Europe.
And they're just not available here because we just don't have them, right?
Correct.
Wow.
Got it. They got to be brought in, and then a breeding program has to be set up. And you got to remember that when you start a breeding program, sometimes it can take a year or two of work before they're readily available on the market.
Right. Hmm. But, okay, if there were, let's make this easy. If there were 3 species of seahorse, you've already mentioned one, I heard very clearly. But if there were 3 species of seahorses that you think should not be kept in captivity, what would they be?
Well, I don't know all the name of the species off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Shame on
and
you.
I suspect
I'm just
there's
kidding.
probably about, of the 50 to 60 that they say there probably is, I would say more than half of those we probably, it doesn't make sense to have them on the market.
Okay.
A lot of them are small. There's several really, really small species that they have discovered, and some of them are just very finicky. And I if the species is not plentiful in the wild, I hate seeing them being pulled to put into a program where there's probably a pretty good chance they're not going to be massively reproduced in captive breeding.
I hear you. I'm just going to say out loud real quick. Haley, I see you just got home from work. Please feel free to join. And then when I cut the live stream, we can go onto Instagram or onto Discord. Please join. But, Dan, I couldn't agree more. And I think that multiple species should be left alone. But the thing is, the problem with that statement is that we said the same things we didn't.
That we keep in captivity are also the seahorses that are the most abundant in the wild.
Right. Because it's the right thing. Okay, I got it. I'm with you 100% now. I got it.
Now, I'm not saying that some of these other species can't be perfected, but what I hate to see is massive importing of wild-caught specimens of a relatively rare species just to try to get a captive breeding program going. It'd be different if somebody in Australia, for example, got a pair of H. zebra, for example, and all of a sudden had massive success captive breeding to where they had a bounty of them and could then export them. That would be a different ballgame.
Right.
But, I certainly don't, if I had the resources, I wouldn't want, even if I could comfortably, fund a project to bring them in, I wouldn't want to because I just don't see it.
It's wrong.
I just don't see it.
Yeah. Now, what about the 3 spot?
The Trimaculatus,
Yes.
however you pronounce it.
Yes.
They've been captive bred, and there's nothing wrong with them. But when you start looking at, for example, the Cuda complex or the Barbary and some of the other species that are very similar in that complex, there's really not a big difference among them. So from a breeding perspective, it doesn't make sense for me to have 3 or 4 seahorses that are very, very similar.
Why?
Well, it's like, for example, white-eye and Proceras. Okay, white-eye, for example, are usually found in cooler temperatures, from what I understand, and Proceras are typically more tropical. Um, Given the choice between the two, I would rather have the Proceras because they're going to be easier for me to have people keep them successfully in tanks. Why would I want to have both when it would be hard for the average person to identify which one is which?
That makes sense. I understand now. I get it. You're trying to do the right thing. See, I'm greedy, and I'm just trying to get every species that I can feasibly keep in a system in my house, and that's not the real goal. You're doing the right thing, so thank you for not bringing in seahorses that are not able to be kept, and working on species that are borderline and selling species that are very much in the aquarium industry because of people like you. Thank you.
Well, the whole idea from my perspective is if I'm going to sell a seahorse species, I want to sell something that people can keep successfully.
Right.
Without, the average Joe can keep the animal. It's one of my dreams is to get the ghost pipefish and figure them out and be able to breed them. But I don't know that there would necessarily be a good species for the average hobbyist to keep, even if I could do it.
Exactly. Do you know anything? This is just personal, and we'll cut the stream anytime. I don't care. But do you know anything about them specifically? Like, on the side that I tried with them, and I read some things about them, about the way that they're caught and the air that they breathe, and what do you...
No, I don't know much about them at all.
Okay. Could you recommend a good... Actually, I'll talk to you later. Anyways, okay, so back to the point. We have amazing piebald seahorses coming on for special tomorrow. Go check them out at Seahorse Source and on Seahorse Whisperer Society and on any group that means anything. How's that? That was my plug. I got kind of off on a tangent, but anything else that's going on or you want to chat about? Because I do intend to go eat my dinner, and then I'm going to get on Instagram. I'm going to go live in a minute on Instagram. See, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. You know what? I think it's my headphones that are causing problems, not my microphone. Anyways, if you guys can still hear me, I'll be on Instagram shortly. I'm going late at night because I'm afraid it won't go well, but I'll be on Instagram, so feel free to join me. And next week we should be, actually during this week, we'll be practicing the Discord streams and moving forward. But thank you anybody who watched or came tonight. And anything else you got to say, Dan?
I wish everyone a good night.
Yes, thank you guys. Happy Wine Wednesday. We will see you next week for sure, if not sooner. Happy Wine Wednesday, guys. Bye.